In the year 1855, in the heart of the American South, there was a town where tradition ruled, and love was dictated by class, race, and reputation. This was a place where whispered secrets could destroy lives, and where stepping outside society's expectations was considered the greatest sin. But love has never followed the rules. This is the story of Eleanor Whitmore, the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in town, and Daniel Carter, a free black artist whose hands painted the world with colors only his heart could see. Theirs was a love that defied the times. A love that was beautiful, dangerous, and ultimately unforgettable. Eleanor had spent her entire life surrounded by privilege, corseted into a world of expectations. Every step she took was carefully watched, every decision already made for her. But Eleanor had a restless heart. She longed for something more, something real. One afternoon, as the golden sun melted into the horizon, Eleanor wandered away from her family's grand estate, drawn by the sound of gentle brush strokes against canvas. She followed the sound to a clearing near the riverbank, where she saw him. Daniel stood before a half-finished painting. His dark eyes focused on the vibrant hues he mixed with delicate precision. He was different from any man she had ever known, not just in the color of his skin, but in the way he carried himself. There was something fearless about him, something that pulled at the deepest part of her. He looked up and their eyes met. For a moment, time seemed to slow. The world around them faded, the town, the expectations, the barriers. All that remained was the quiet hum of the river and the unspoken connection between them. "That's beautiful," Eleanor said softly, stepping closer. Daniel hesitated before responding. "Thank you, miss. I only paint what I see." "And what do you see?" she asked. A small smile played on his lips. A world beyond these fences. A world where people are free to love as they choose. Her heart pounded. She knew it was dangerous to stand here, to speak to him, to let the curiosity in her eyes linger too long. But she didn't move. That day was the first of many stolen moments. Their love bloomed in the hidden corners of the world. A glance across the marketplace. A letter slipped between books at the town's small library. Midnight whispers beneath the old magnolia tree. Each moment was fleeting, but it was enough to keep their hearts alive. Eleanor's father, Charles Whitmore, had made it clear. She was to marry Senator William Beaumont, a powerful man twice her age. It was an arrangement of wealth and politics, nothing more. But Eleanor had already given her heart away. One night, under the silver glow of the moon, she met Daniel in the abandoned chapel at the edge of town. He reached into his coat and pulled out a letter, its edges worn from being held too many times. "Eleanor, I can't stay here anymore," he whispered. "I have a way to leave. There's a ship heading north to Philadelphia. If we leave together, we can build a life of our own." Her breath caught in her throat. She had dreamed of this, of running away, of escaping the cage she had been born into. But fear held her back. "My family. My father. If they find us, they will never find us," Daniel said, taking her hands in his. "But we have to go now, before it's too late." Eleanor looked into his eyes and saw the truth, the same truth she had always known. She would never belong to this world. She belonged with him. She made her choice. The night air was thick with tension as Eleanor slipped out of her house, her heart pounding with each step. She had taken nothing but a small satchel of belongings. Everything else, her dresses, her jewelry, her past, meant nothing now. Daniel was waiting at the crossroads, his silhouette barely visible in the darkness. But they weren't alone. A dozen men on horseback emerged from the shadows, lanterns casting flickering light against their grim faces. At the front was Senator Beaumont, his mouth curled into a knowing smirk. Beside him, Charles Whitmore sat atop his horse, eyes burning with fury. "You thought you could just disappear, girl," her father spat. With him, Daniel stepped in front of Eleanor, his hands clenched into fists. "She's not your property." Beaumont laughed coldly. "She's mine now. That's the law." Eleanor's hands trembled as she gripped Daniel's arm. "No, I won't go with you. You don't have a choice," her father snarled. And then gunfire. The shot rang through the night, splitting the silence like a scream. Eleanor felt Daniel's body jolt against hers before he staggered back, a crimson stain spreading across his chest. "And oh," she cried, catching him as he fell. The world blurred. She could hear the sound of hooves retreating, the voices of men fading into the distance. Nothing else mattered. Daniel's breathing was shallow as he reached for her face, his fingers brushing her cheek. "Run," he whispered. She shook her head violently, tears streaming down her face. "No, I won't leave you." His lips parted in a weak smile. "You already saved me, Eleanor." And then he was gone. They buried Daniel beneath the magnolia tree where they had first kissed, where their love had lived in stolen moments. Eleanor never married. She never returned to the life her father had planned for her. Instead, she left town, carrying only Daniel's last letter in her pocket. For years, people whispered of the woman who had abandoned her wealth for a love she could never have. Some called her foolish. Others pitied her. But those who truly knew her story understood. Because history forgets those who conform. But love is eternal. And if you listen closely on quiet southern nights, you can still hear the wind whisper through the magnolia trees, carrying the echoes of a love that refused to die. Would you risk everything for love? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from history.